Can anxiety lead to success? Welcome to Her Unscripted, episode 14. Anxiety behind success. I think anxiety starts before even following the career path or the project that we're approaching. It's not necessarily a success thing, it's when you are fearful of failure. And it's not necessarily a business ownership thing. It's any, you know, journey we're getting on, right? It's any decision we're making that we're going to commit ourselves, whether it's on a personal level or a professional level. And it's just embedded in most of us. I do get jealous, and I don't use the word jealous often because it's a feeling I don't really connect with, but I get jealous of people that aren't so anxious, and aren't, I guess, driven by anxiety. I don't know what they're exactly driven by. I would say for me, it's not like this anxiety behind success. It's anxiety to not accomplish things the best way I possibly can. And it's not necessarily I'm trying to reach the top of the top, which in the back of my mind, that is obviously a goal. And I think most of us that are very driven have that goal embedded in us, but it's not failing. And for me, I know I won't fail, which sounds a little bit conceited, but I know if when I commit to anything, I accomplish it. But there's still this fear of failing, and that's what drives me. My anxiety drives me, so I use that to fuel myself to get to where I want to get to. I don't know how people are driven without it. I would love to hear what drives people. There's the typical answers is like my family, my kids, but there's something associated with the family and with the kids to achieve what we want to achieve. I think it's needs to be a healthy level of anxiety. I look at myself like I have to redirect my anxiety and control the level of anxiety I'm having to use it as proper fuel, right? So if my anxiety is too high, that's not proper fuel because I'm reactive. Even if I'm productive, it's half the production I can accomplish with more reaction, which is not productive. So controlling my anxiety to that level of where it fuels success is what matters the most for me. And I know I talk about this so much, but it's finding that healthy space mentally and catering to that mental state of mind to have the right levels that will drive you. So, you know, getting those workouts in and, fueling your body, hydrating your body, having conversations, being on the right regimens that help you to stay in the best mental state of mind, but still having the level of anxiety that will fuel your success. It's not necessarily healthy, but it's a feeling. It exists. It's inevitable. And when you're trying to achieve something at a point where you have no choice or you need that push, then yeah, it is. It's almost like getting, before a heavy, heavy lift, right? Like I think of myself, like there's certain movements I don't feel this way, but when I used to like need to do a snatch, I was so bad at snatching, right? It was my least favorite movement. My body just didn't, smoothly get into that squat position, overhead weight, that like I'd get that anxious feeling right before, perfect my hand on the bar, grip properly, straighten my back, get my legs engaged the way I want to. And that level of anxiety perfected my stance to push to a higher level. Does that make sense? So the drive is getting there, but there is this anxious feeling when you know what anxiety is, that's like a pit in your stomach. There is excitement. Anxiety doesn't necessarily mean like negative. There's excited anxiety. There's guys before they ask the love of their life to marry them. There's some anxiety there. And the anxiety can be led with like, I'm anxious to be that vulnerable. I'm anxious to get a no. I'm anxious to fail at what I'm about to do. Like that, or the anxiety of saying I love you to, the person you've been with for the first time. There's this discomfort, and there's this, it's a beautiful feeling because you're embedded with love for this person. You want to scream it out that first time. But there is this like, am I doing this too early? Do they feel the same way? Am I think there's, again, I'm not talking about that anxiety that makes you unhealthy and stresses you out to the point of inability. I'm talking about that anxiety that is helping that drive to keep going and that motivation at the moment. Like, and I talk about myself sometimes. Obviously we all know most about ourselves. I'm someone who naturally struggles with anxiety on a personal level, right? I've lived to learn to handle it and perfect the control of it. But there's people that barely ever experience any anxiety, and they'll still feel a little anxiety towards something that they're about to do or accomplish. There's the anxiety before walking down the aisle. That's excitement. I felt that anxiety, like, am I 100% sure? All this stuff. The anxiety before giving birth. I was so excited to meet Zane. Like, holy crap, I couldn't wait. This is my dream. But there's this obstacle I have to overcome to reach the beautiful part, right? I had some anxiety driving to the hospital. I could see Joe have the same anxiety. We don't know what the unexpected or the what we haven't experienced truly is. I think anxiety it triggers our nerves. Anxiety is part of our nervous system. I don't look at anxiety as a bad thing. I really don't. I think debilitating anxiety is exhausting, and it's ruins your life. And there's times I think of myself where I'm not healthy, but like even today, ask me how I'm doing, because I've done everything I could possibly do the last 3 weeks. And I've been like saying it to my family. I'm so happy I'm in a schedule right now where I'm back to lifting, which I've been talking about for months. And I've done it long enough now that it's part of my schedule. It's part of my work schedule. And then I did my sauna this morning and my cold plunge. I'm doing everything I need to do to maintain my anxiety. Believe it or not, all that plus my medication, plus having amazing supportive family, and following a career path I'm super passionate about, having incredible friends, I still have anxiety. And I can't, I check the lists of everything. And I'm still a few days before my PMDD starts, which is an excessive level of anxiety. But I'm really trying to get myself away from the debilitating. I want to tap into, what drives me to success. And it's like people that are super passionate, people that are obsessive. All these things can be, if handled incorrectly, or tapped into the wrong things can be a huge negative effect on someone's life. Like someone who's obsesses over things, if they don't obsess over the healthy things and work and relationships and nutrition and working out, they could obsess over unhealthy things like drugs and alcohol and going out and socializing in wrong environments and gaming for hours where they're not even getting their work done, right? But then if you tap into passion and obsessiveness towards things that'll help you accomplish your goals, then you become successful, right? Or you are in the path of following success, whatever you're trying to succeed at. For me, experiencing heavier anxiety in the workspace usually happens when I haven't taken care of myself on a personal level, right? Because naturally in the workspace, when things aren't working out and flowing, and for me, I know this is a lot of pressure that I put on myself. I know things are working and flowing, but if I don't see a level of progress improving month after month, year over year, if I'm not seeing numbers increase, a specific percentage increasing month after month, year after year, that makes me very unhappy. And I get that's where you could say I'm more anxious and I'm trying to tap in to see what do I need to change. Also, I get anxiety even in the workplace, and I know you'd expect me to say this more on a personal level, but in the workplace, if I'm going to disappoint people around me. And with my job, it's natural for me to disappoint people around me. And I don't mean by my actions, but if you're not working at a level that we can succeed as a team, I'm going to disappoint you with the conversation I'm having. I might disappoint you in if we've had this conversation several times or you really don't fit in the successful path that we're on and letting you go. That breaks my heart. I hate that part because I feel so much pride and feel fulfilled when I am able to get my team to move on to the next level and to grow within the company. So I'll get anxiety over that. The last 3 weeks, the last week really, but the last 3 weeks, the mindset has been shifting where I need to stop being so nice. I need to stop giving people so many chances and trying to help people that don't necessarily work with us and can help the team go to the next level, because I'll have like a team of 10, 8 people are working their ass off, and then you have one person that's in between because they're moody, and then another person who's just not capable of keeping up, or they're just not a good fit. And this week it took 2 weeks to ramp up, and then this week I'm like, done. That's it. I have to. It's not fair for the rest of the team, the 8 people that are working their ass off, for me to keep giving chances. And I want to say I'm being mean, but I'm not being mean. I'm just trying to operate a business at the best level possible. So different things give me different levels of anxiety. I don't think I've ever felt debilitated anxiety in the workplace. I think I've only felt that on personal level and during my own personal life challenges where I'm not able to fix a situation or fix my state of mind to get out of a funk. On a personal level, there's, a few moments I could think of that I couldn't get out of bed or couldn't get off the couch or, but on a professional level, I've never lost control because of anxiety. Or yeah, I think I'm really good at putting my energy in a certain direction when it comes to work. And I think it's because I have control over it to an extent. Like, there's, for every action there's a reaction, right? So let's say I went to the right and that gave me too much anxiety and it's not productive. I went to the left and that fixed the situation. In our personal life, sometimes we're exposed to other people's actions or health situations, and you don't have control over that. And that's the only time I could say that I actually felt debilitated anxiety and couldn't lead it to success. 100% not having control creates anxiety, at least for me. I mean, I would say debilitated anxiety, not necessarily. Again, I roam through this earth as an anxious individual, and I came to the conclusion that is me, that is part of my personality. With everything we checked off, I still feel it. I'm okay with it because it truly drives me. I'm healthy with it. But not having control does. And that's where we need to tap into certain things, like leaning into, you know, Allah or God, and giving up that control, because that's the only thing that is going to, you know, be able to control the outcome of certain things, right? Like, and that's what helps, in my opinion. That debilitated anxiety is, it's in Allah's hands, and you know, there's nothing I can do at this point. Having the concept of people trying to control everything, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for an unhappy life. Even if you're still succeeding in your life, it's so unhappy to try to control the things that we shouldn't be controlling. It's like, when we think of our parents, when they try to control our thoughts and our every move, and we're becoming adults, and they become so unhappy because you're not following the exact direction they're giving you. Like, I think of my mom, if she when she tries to direct her 8 kids' lives, you don't have control over it. Doing that makes you so internally unhappy. That's when you have to step back and trust in God and what He can do. If you're someone that is so controlling, and I get so sad when I see people like that, especially younger girls, because it's definitely more female driven, that control aspect and that anxiety from it. Start writing things down, start letting go, literally letting go of the level of happiness your partner's in, the mental state of mind of your friend. Those are things that only they can control, right? I think with parenting, it's really hard to let that control go. Zane's been my biggest teacher, and learning to kind of embrace his thought process and not fighting him when he wants to do something so bad. If it's not going to harm him, it's not going to harm me. What am I trying to control? That he's not eating his entire plate? Like, he has a mind of his own. It's just, I think also relationships is a big one, right? Naturally, and I've been someone who's been guilty of this. I mean, so badly. And I still fight the urge, but controlling the person in front of you to react the way you want them to react, right? Like, this makes me feel like I hate myself for this, but like, you know, every girl has gone through this. You're dressed up and you want someone to have a reaction to you, and they're not matching that energy that you expected, and you're like, oh my god, like, you don't this, you don't that. And I'm like, when I think of myself during those moments, ew, so ugly. Like, don't do that. I mean, maybe that's my dad's fault because whenever he sees me, even if I'm wearing like a workout clothes, he's like, "Oh my God, you look so good," you know? So this level of expectation. But expectation causes all that disappointment, right? So like the first step is getting rid of expectations. Wanting your partner to gift you a certain way, but this is how they show you they love them. I think understanding your surrounding, understanding people, and accepting people for the way they really are, helps alleviate that control factor that we tend to push towards. There's so much negative connotation when it comes to anxiety, and in a healthy manner and controlled, it can lead to so much success, in my opinion, as long as we are living our lives in a healthy way, right? For me, I've reached a point where I can redirect it and it helps me succeed. There's fear that is associated with anxiety. There's excitement that can be associated with anxiety. Just wanting to accomplish anything can be associated with anxiety. And that anxiety that we're talking about can be the last push that we need to accomplish things. So, as long as it's controlled and healthy, it can be the cherry on top when it comes to reaching our goals.